Hello children. In this video lecture, I will explain you poem 2 of Beehive. Poem 2 is Wind, written by Subramanya Bharti. Now the question arises in your mind, what is wind? As we know very well, wind is the movement of air caused by the uneven heating of the earth by the sun and the earth's own rotation. This is general definition of wind. In this poem, we will see various forms of wind through the eyes of our poet. Let's know more about Subramanya Bharti. Subramanya Bharti is a great Tamil poet famous for his patriotism in the pre-independence era. He was popularly known as Mahakavi Bharti, great poet Bharati. He was a pioneer of modern Tamil poetry and is considered one of the greatest Tamil literary figures of all time. His numerous works include fiery songs kindling patriotism during the Indian independence movement. Children, here this poem is translated from the Tamil by A.K. Ramanujan. So let's know more about A.K. Ramanujan also. He was an Indian poet and scholar of Indian literature who wrote in both in English and Kannada. He was a poet, translator, linguist, and a folklorist. Ramanujan's critical work in Indian folklore and translations of Indian classical literature are highly regarded around the world and taught in colleges in India and the US. In 1976, the government of India honored Ramanujan with the prestigious Padma Shri, one of its highest civilian awards, for his significant contributions to Indian literature and linguistics. Let's know more about the poem. The present poetry piece, Wind, has been composed by Subramanya Bharti. This poem consists of a total of 23 lines. These lines are not separated into stanzas. Here they are divided into meaningful segments for understanding of your comprehension for you. Subramanya Bharti has drawn the living picture of wind which makes fun of the weak people or things. The poet teaches us how we should stand against our oppressors. In the poem, he presents the wind god who destroys everything weak. He wonders why the mighty god is fond of poking fun only with the weak. The poet, therefore, advises the weak like him to make them strong. He suggests them to be strong and he wishes to be a strong and physically and mentally powerful. Actually, the wind is the symbol of difficulties or obstacles that humans have to face for their survival. The poem can be summarized in three ways to prove the fact presented by Subramanya Bharti. First thing, mainly, the poet highlighted here the violent and destructive nature of the wind. He had showed us the result of storm here. In the second characteristic, he has showed us his powerful nature. Third, highlighted the poet here in the poem. The wind makes fun of Almighty, all strong, all weak people. Almighty wind god makes fun of weak people, and by blowing wind, they destruct weak houses, weak doors, and weak bodies. The poet suggests the readers to build strong houses and strong doors. We must be healthy both physically and mentally, then this wind will be our friend. Let's know the central idea of the poem. This poem is derived from the poet's observation and devotion. He sees the effects of the wind in general and of stormy weather. He also praises the wind god. We are able to appreciate the keenness of the poet's vision and his unique thought process about something as apparently simple as the wind. The poet suggests everyone to be strong physically and mentally. Wind here is the symbol of difficulties or obstacles humans have to face for their survival. People with strong physique and good mental health will withstand and face odds or obstacles of life. Children, let's start explanation of the poem. Here, first four lines are here for you. Wind comes softly. Don't break the shutters of the windows. Don't scatter the papers. Don't throw down the books on the shelf. It means in this line, the poet directly talks to the wind. In fact, he makes an entreaty to the wind. He asks the wind not to break down shutters of the windows. The shutters are the only thing that separate man from the stormy environment outside. So, in a way, the poet is asking the wind for protection. He also asks the wind not to scatter the papers in his room and for them to be the first thing in his room. He does not want them to be disorganized because he is a writer. Perhaps some of these papers also contain drafts of a poem like this one. Hence, they are very important to him and he can't afford to lose them. The wind is very powerful. All the books which are kept on the shelf fall down. So the poem begins with the request. The poet urges the wind to blow gently, but it does not accept the plea. It does not accept the request. The wind blows violently and causes destruction. Whenever there is a strong wind, all the timid, weak things, small plants, tiny children, etc., get scared and they can even fall and get hurt. In the beginning of the poem, the poet refers the wind as a young child. He requests it to come softly like a small child, but in further lines, the wind is destructive, just like a youth. There, look what you did. You threw them all down. You tore the pages of the books. You brought rain again. Here in these lines from 5 to 7, the poet changes the tone. He gestures towards the scattered things in his room and tells the wind that it is he who is responsible for it. He shows the wind how he has thrown all the books down from the bookshelf with his force and torn pages out of those books as well. The poet does not restrict his vision only to the inside of his house. Casting his gaze outside, he also accuses the wind of having brought about of rainfall with himself while approaching the poet's house. As the youth does not listen to the elders, same as the wind has thrown all the things down with anger, torn the pages too. The wind behaves like a young boy or a girl who is full of energy, violence, and destruction. The poet lays charges against him for bringing rain once again with him. Now, I will read lines 8 to 12. You are very clever at poking fun at weaklings. Frail, crumbling houses, crumbling doors, crumbling rafters, crumbling wood, crumbling bodies, crumbling lives, crumbling hearts. The wind god winnows and crushes them all. This lines means here poet changes again a tone. The poet tells the wind that he becomes mischief whenever he comes face to face with anyone who is weak and mild to protest against his actions. The wind can tear the doors, the rafters, or entire wooden house altogether. This is the wind's overt action, leaving people without a roof over their heads or walls to keep them sheltered from the harsh world outside. The poet says that the wind can tear down weak bodies and fragile hearts. That is, difficulties in life can lead to a loss of hope as well as the loss of life. Whether such things will happen or not is all up to the wind god, says the poet. In this line, now the poet speaks in a dull tone to the wind. He says to the wind that it makes or does mischief of kind, humble, and timid people. The word crumbling is repeated here many times. To crumble means fall down, fall to pieces, or collapse. The wind is here so powerful that it crumbles or breaks everything, everything that is weak. When they react against the wind crushes them down. It means weak people cannot stand against the challenges, adversities, or difficulties of their life. They break down or fall against the hardships. The poet compares both troubles and the wind, same here. Like troubles, the wind comes suddenly. The wind has a capacity to tear down weak bodies and fragile hearts, weak hearts. That is, difficulties in life can lead to a loss of hope as well as a loss of life. In fact, in last line, here is a comparison is made between wheat and people. Just like we winnow the wheat to separate the grain from the chaff or husk, same as the wind god separates the strong people from the weak people. When there is a strong wind, all the things that are weak fall and get crushed. Now I'll read lines 30 to 15. He won't do what you tell him. So come, let's build strong homes. Let's join the doors firmly. Here the poet stops speaking to the wind and starts speaking to his readers. Here the wind does not listen to anybody and that his actions are governed by him alone. Therefore, we can't escape the ill effects of the wind by appealing to the wind like he has been doing. Instead, we should build our homes on a strong foundation and ensure that our doors can't be easily penetrated in order to save ourselves from the wind. Here the poet gives message to his readers. Message to build a strong foundation of their life. He requests the readers to do friendship with the wind. It means friendship with the adversities or difficulties of their life. He says that the people will not listen to us. He says that the problem as well as will not listen to us. They will come. So, we should be prepared. As we know, evil people, when they entered in our life, we do not know. So, in preparation, we should build strong homes and close the doors of our house firmly so that the wind cannot get into. Now, lines 16 to 18. Practice to form the body, make the heart steadfast. Do this, and the wind will be friends with us. Here, the poet says that we must make ourselves strong both physically and mentally. We must train our body, our hearts to combat against and resist the ill effects of the wind. If we are able to do this, then the poet thinks that we will no longer consider the wind an enemy. Instead, the wind will invite us to become his friend, and we will be able to fearlessly accept his invitation. It means we should make our body strong and heart firm to face any challenges of our life, to face any people who gives us difficulty. Once we are strong enough, all the challenges will be like friends. We will not feel that they are troublesome. We should make our heart, our character strong. If our heart or our character is weak, it will create problems for us. But if you are fearless, you can accept the friendship of all odds and difficulties of your life. The wind blows out weak fires. He makes strong fires roar and flourish. Here, the poet describes how the wind has both bad effects and good effects. In order to elucidate on the bad effects of the wind, he shows how the wind can blow out the fire if it is glowing with a weak force. However, if the fire is burning strongly, then the wind will not blow it out but make it fiercer. Thus, the wind can nurture whatever is already strong. The poet is comparing here wind to God. He says that wind is God and we praise or worship wind every day. The poet has taken support of wind or kept wind as a base to give us an important message of our life. Everything that is weak gets finished off in the face of the strong wind. It means if your personality or character is weak, you cannot stand against all difficulties of your life. But if you are strong, your character has received all require nourishment, then you can fight against any trouble of your life. We should not feel bad when we face so many challenges, difficulties, or adversities in life. We should make ourselves physically and mentally strong to face these challenges. His friendship is good. We praise him every day. Wind comes softly. These are the last three lines of this poem. Here, the poet comes to the conclusion after weighing both the bad effects and the good effects of the wind. He says that if we are strong, then the wind is a good friend for us to have, for he will increase our strength. He says that we should sing our devotion to the wind of God on a daily basis. He asks the wind to come to him softly. This may seem a bit cautious of him, but shows that he has thought out his address to the wind very well. He knows how the wind can strengthen him, but also knows that he must not overestimate his own strength or disrespect the wind god. To prevent himself from doing either, he asked the wind to come to him in a gentle manner. The poet comes to the conclusion that if we are strong, then the wind is a good friend for us to have. In the second last line, the poet tells us that we should sing our devotion to the wind god on a daily basis so we can happily face any trouble in our life. They help us become stronger and better. And in last line, the poet requests the wind to come softly so we can prepare ourselves properly before facing any difficulties or hardships. We can make ourselves ready for it. So he tells the wind to come in a gentle manner. Children, you have understood well the line wise paraphrase and explanation of the poem. Now, here is for you textual exercise. Here I have given an introduction and all important questions related to the poem of our exercise. Learn it thoroughly and write in your fair notebook. Revise it and prepare it for your upcoming test. Thank you.